Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1169 of our daily content grind. And I wish I had a nice topic for today, but unfortunately, we got to talk about the big stuff that's going on in Hasbro right now because this has kind of dominated the news feed. A lot of people are talking, speculating, etc. And it's time we actually have to discuss it because frankly, I don't want to bog down the news roundup going over this. So we are going to be discussing their recent announcement. So Hasbro has officially decided that they are pulling out of financing their own movies. So to go over this, so just to read the article that, or at least a piece of the article that was posted on TFW 2005. They straight from this Hasbro CEO Chris Cox states that the toy giant will stop co-financing movie projects. Let's see, and then it just kind of goes on like. There really is a whole lot behind like what he was saying to Bloomberg, other than studios are going to have to front all the money for a Hasbro project now. They are not going to co-produce on it. That comes from, obviously a lot of box office failures. I can understand like there might be like a knee-jerk reaction from up top, go like, wait, this is not working anymore. But there's a lot more to this. There's a lot more underlying this. They did mention that the underperformance of Transformers 1 is a big reason for this, but also because they're seeing a lot of growth in Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, and they're coming off of Baldurs Gate 3 and currently enjoying the financial hit that is Monopoly Go for you mobile gamers. And they want to lean more into that. So their aim is to do at least 1 or 2 new video game projects every year within the next 2 years. I have my reservations about this. As the new CEO puts it, Hasbro's future lies in leveraging its iconic brands through innovative play. Okay, let's give the devil his due here, and we will actually play a little bit of devil's advocate just for a moment. It's no secret that toys have been declining because kids are more interested in video games and digital entertainment than they are physical toys. But that does not mean toys are failing as a whole. Even while Marvel and Star Wars toys are kind of struggling, Star Wars toys in particular lost money this year. Transformer sales were up. And there are toys that are coming out that have been big hits. So it's not as if like the toy sector is completely dead. But I understand video games and digital technology is so appealing, especially the mobile game market where you can make billions of dollars off of a relatively simple and easily designed game, I can understand the appeal. And we have to keep in mind, Chris Cox comes from Xbox, so of course he would be digitally minded. Of course he would be game minded. But let's kind of go over this a little bit at a time. Okay, so we acknowledge Transformers 1 did not do well. I know a lot of people who are hoping that once it hit digital platforms and word of mouth was really strong, that would actually create some incentive and actually create some actual like new revenue for them to go, maybe this actually was a success. Maybe we can put Transformers 2 into the works. I don't think putting it directly to Paramount Plus so soon after it went to the digital rental stores, I don't think that was the right call. Here, let me give you a basically free option instead of paying $24.99 to rent the HD version of this movie for 3 days. No, it ultimately doesn't help. It's the box office, and the box office was disappointing. We acknowledge that it wasn't the movie's fault. The movie is very, very good. The fault, I think we universally agreed, was in the marketing. And this is where our problem actually lies. I will never get over how dumb the marketing for this movie was. It just felt very, very lacking. And guess what? That's a trend. That is a trend in recent Transformer movies, and we can put all of that on Paramount. Here's the thing that baffles me. It definitely feels like Hasbro has really only tried one partner, one production studio for their movies, or one like one publishing house for their movies, and basically just went, well, we've tried one whole thing and we're out of ideas, so we're just getting out of it altogether. I don't understand why they don't see the problem here. The problem's Paramount. If advertising is what killed Transformers 1, it's because of Paramount. It's not because the movies are unpopular. It's not because the movies are bad. It's because their partner is not putting the right investment or the right people behind it. You know, I look back at like Rise of the Beasts and another underperforming movie, another movie that did not financially succeed. And the marketing on that is the dumbest thing. The marketing on it was so bad. What was the point of carting around a bunch of non-life-size statues around the world for like 2-day photo ops and then hauling these huge statues across country, which costs a lot of money, just to put down, take photos for a couple days, and do it again? I will never understand the decision in Transformers 1 to do a promotion with an ice cream company in Australia instead of America, where it would have been far wider spread to a much larger audience. I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand the marketing ideas. Who had the bright idea of having the premiere of Transformers 1 happen on a freaking balloon satellite? So you could say it debuted in space. Who cares? How much money did that cost to do one of the dumbest marketing stunts I've ever seen in my life? It's frustrating. But it all just kind of screams like you're dealing with the wrong movie partner. You've got the wrong people here. We've been using Paramount for like 17 years, and they just keep producing these extremely bad results. Over the last decade, it has been nothing but a constant, like a constant fall off for the franchise, and we just don't connect the dots and go like, well, dump Paramount and start anew, because that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. To be fair, Hasbro does have other partners. Universal they worked with for their board game movies. The board game movies didn't do very well either, but they're board game movies. How much are you really gonna do with them? Now, me personally, I'm still just gonna blame fatigue. Ultimately, I still think people are just tired of these movies, and I think in general, and it's not just that we're tired of these franchises in particular. We're tired of the franchises producing bad stuff. A lot of the Marvel movies have not been good lately. A lot of the Star Wars things have not been good. And yeah, a lot of the Transformer movies haven't been good. At some point, you've produced so much bad that people aren't going to give the good a chance. You can tell people Transformers 1 is different. It's actually producing a good story. It tells a different tale. It feels radically different. It's fresh, and it's a much more exciting movie than like all the big explosion fests that we used to do. You can tell them that, but the fans that have been around since 2007 and have essentially seen the same film redone over and over with the same plot beats, the same setups, similar MacGuffins, etc., to see it done over and over and over again for over a decade, it doesn't matter what you do differently now. You've already pushed them away by just producing crap sequel after crap sequel that just felt like the same plot with a new skin on top. And that falls to my favorite scapegoat in all of these discussions, Lorenzo di Bonaventura, who I still think is an absolute tool. So, we've gone over Lorenzo a lot. When people are tired of your franchise constantly being the same and constantly putting out crap, you know what doesn't help? A guy who keeps going out in public and telling people, yeah, it's connected to the old movies. How? It contradicts everything. But no. Bumblebee's a prequel to the live actions. No, it's not. Like, Bumblebee was in World War II. How does he just now land in the 80s? Like, no, 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 no. It's all the same. No, it's not, Lorenzo. Okay, here, take your pills, put your coat back on that helps you hug yourself. We're going to take you back to your room now. I can't fathom, like, what it is like to be a fan who's, like, bored of all these live action movies and then has the face of this franchise, unfortunately. You know, like, once Michael Bay got out of the way, Bonaventura started being like the voice of the people behind the scenes on these movies. And once he's out there going, yeah, like Transformers 1 is the story of the same characters, but you get to see who they are before they become the ones in the '07 movie. Like, no! All you're telling people is that it's going to be the same. All you're telling people is it's the same schlock. They're tired of the same takes on the characters that they're tired of. Stop telling them it's all in the same continuity. And you know what? I finally figured out why he does this. I actually did a little bit of research for this video because I realized I'm hitting a lot of the same talking points. So I actually did a little bit of research to give you something a little bit new to eat. I looked at the other movies that Lorenzo has produced. Do you realize that Lorenzo de Bonaventura's Wikipedia page credits him with producing $7 billion at the box office across all of his movies? And that sounds really impressive. However, if you take out Transformers as a franchise, then he's really only produced about $2 billion in revenue at the box office. And if you take the Transformer movies out of his repertoire, if you take that out, then you have just over 40 movies across 2 decades. I want you to realize the Avengers can do $2 billion in 2 movies. There's actually a lot of franchises and a lot of producers out there who can do $1 billion in just 5 movies. You know, or 10 movies to do $2 billion. I'm trying to compare it to $2 billion, and I think I'm failing here. But it took him 40. And granted, that doesn't account for how many of those movies failed at the box office. Frankly, most of the ones I was looking at had modest successes at best, and there's a lot of flops in there. I think outside of Transformers, his most popular movies are the 2 Red movies, and I like Red. I like those 2 movies. They're fun. But then again, he also did Madam Web. This man is extraordinarily hit and miss. And frankly, I think the only reason he holds on, and the only reason he keeps saying, yeah, like, these movies are all connected to the same universe, is he is desperately trying to hold on to the one thing that ever made him relevant and successful. I really feel like, because keep in mind, you know, he started producing in the early 2000s. 2007 was the first Transformers movie. A lot of these box office flops that he helmed, they happened after his name became relevant because of Transformers. And I genuinely feel like Transformers succeeded in spite of him, not because of him. I don't know all the background behind the scenes stuff that he worked on, but I am willing to bet, yeah, this franchise would have worked without him. I genuinely feel like that. So I don't view him as a successful producer. I feel like if Transformers never came around, he would have fizzled out before 2010, and you never would have heard of him again. He's not that great at his job, and yet, just like Paramount, Hasbro hangs on to him, clings to him, when frankly, he's just not good at what he needs to do. And all of that are decisions by Chris Cox. So, we were mentioned that Chris Cox comes from Microsoft, he comes from Xbox. He wants Hasbro to be a digital brand. He wants to produce video games and mobile games, and he wants to get into the digital sector a lot more. And guess what? Yeah, because the market goes that way, and because games are so successful and kids are so disinterested in toys, it's not necessarily the wrong idea. The problem is, it's already an uphill battle. Look at the way that Transformer games have gone. I honestly think Devastation is the best Transformers game we ever got, And it's a modest success at best. It still wasn't that critically acclaimed. It's like a 7 out of 10 on Metacritic. And you can't buy it anymore. Those and the other acclaimed Transformer games, War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, you can't get those anymore because it's all Activision. Yeah, and they won't sign a new deal. Supposedly they have. Supposedly those games are coming back because people are starting to see them on their wish lists again, which might mean they might get relisted, which would be great. Don't get me wrong. It's the right move if you're going to focus on digital side of these franchises. But keep in mind, Transformers has had more bombs of video games than good, and we certainly have never had a AAA quality game, you know? You look at some of the other directions. Yeah, you can tout that Monopoly Go did fantastic for Hasbro. At the same time, they released The Wrath of Cobra, a G.I. Joe game with an old school beat 'em up feel, and the game is like 3 hours long at best, and is done very poorly as far as critics are concerned. It's not a good look. Hasbro just really does not have a good pedigree when it comes to video games. They've got the franchises for it, but they've never put the investment in. And here's a company that says, we're going to stop putting money into our own movies so that we can do video games instead, completely ignoring the fact that a lot of video games these days cost more than movies do. Bumblebee got produced for about $150 million. AAA level games can cost $250 million or more. We have had reports that there are games that have reached 400 million, even higher, like ridiculous budgets. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to make a game succeed. Now, they are coming off of Baldurs Gate. Granted, it was Game of the Year. It was produced on about $100 million budget and made well over $1 billion in sales after, because it sold over 20 million copies. That's a financial windfall. That's hugely successful. And, congratulations on Hasbro for it. If you can capitalize on this and keep making sure that you have the right people working on this sector of games in order to elevate your brands through video gaming and get, and make Hasbro much more relevant that way, congratulations. You've done great. Hasbro fired everybody in company that was helping on that game. How do you have one of the most successful games in years? How do you have one of your literal biggest success story in the digital market you have ever had, and then fire everyone who internally worked on it at Hasbro? How do you do that? You tell me you want to be a AAA game company, and then you fire everybody responsible for your first major video game success. The people behind this at Hasbro could be attacked by mind flayers, and they would die of starvation. It's moronic. It is absolutely moronic. And this is the future they want, and they're firing the people who would have built the foundation for that future. Congratulations. You're screwing everything up. It also doesn't help that there's also even a lot of fears over licensing out their stuff to other companies. You're seeing Hasbro far more willing to give the Transformer license to other companies, even rivals like Mattel. You have Power Rangers, who's going to be produced by Playmates soon. And they're looking, and there's even more. Like, there's other companies, like Micro Machines is not handled internally anymore. That's outsourced. And the worry is, they're just going to go for more and more of that because they're so focused on digital, they basically don't want to produce toys anymore. A lot of that is unfounded because there's still plenty of toys that make them a lot of money. Nerf still makes good money. Transformer sales are still up, despite what it looks like at the shelves. Point being, it's kind of scary because it feels like Hasbro's making a lot of really weird, bad decisions at the same time. And it's very uncertain what the future is. Are we even going to get the Transformer G.I. Joe movie if we have 2 box office bombs back to back, and then, Hasbro's not going to pitch in for that movie anymore? We're certainly not going to get a Transformers 2 now. Much as I love that movie, that's going to be it for them. So that's a lot of uncertainty. And you know what? I miss Brian Goldner. He wanted Hasbro to be a big multimedia company. He wanted it to be like overreaching like Disney is, where all these brands and all of these properties are elevated to the point where they're all big successes and they can weave into each other and they can expand it the way Disney does into everything. And there really isn't a reason why Hasbro couldn't do that. You know, a lot of those brands and franchises are household names. You know, it's not just Transformers and G.I. Joe. They've got a lot under their belt they could actually work with. I have no idea why that was. I don't know why we've changed directions. I kind of do. But it did feel like it was working, didn't it? Felt like these brands were getting more important. Felt like someone who cared was in charge. Didn't feel like someone who's just kind of throwing everything away. But yeah, I just want to set this straight. And I should have started the video with this, because the first thing someone told me was, does this mean they're not funding any movies or TV shows anymore? I'm like, the TV shows are fine. We know Cyber World is on the way. We know that they're still continuing cartoons, so they're going to continue a toy line for that, etc., etc. As far as we know, none of that's actually going to go away. So it's not as extreme as some people are making it out to be, but it is not encouraging. It feels more and more like Hasbro's just trying to get out of all of the expansion that they've done and retreat into a digital market that frankly is getting more and more saturated by the day. I'm not sure it's the right move. Cross our fingers. But that's going to be our video for the day. Yeah, it's a little bit ominous, but that's what's going on right now. So there's your wrap up. There's my thoughts on it. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.
Analysis complete. Adapting translators to local language.
Are you out there?